think it kind of sums up a lot of the sort of elements that make up our sound. It's a lot more varied than the last couple of records, as far as it's not really focused on high highs, low lows, and lyrically it's just sort of mainly about the accumulation of baggage as life progresses. It's just processing that. I feel like, Notice the Symbol was real, sort of. I don't know. If I listen to it now, I hear a lot of just sort of youthful energy and verve, and then Shiv and Mermaids. They were sort of born out of the same basic clump of songs. The loud ones being, we basically had all these songs after the first record that were either going to go, that were supposed to be the follow-up to Notice Symbol that was going to be put out by J Records. And we ended up doing all the loud ones in Shiv, and then we used the quiet ones for Mermaids. More stuff was written around those to fill out the records and make it make sense. So in a way, Damage Points is sort of the first real follow to Notice the Symbol, and then sort of completely written and created with no sort of external agenda.
Yeah, I was going to add though the latest record, Damage Points. I think I'll second Michael on it being part 2 of Notice the Symbol. I think it's kind of a more mature version of that record. I think sonically and instrumentation wise, I think it's as creative, but it's just a more modern version of us.
Notice the Symbol, basically right after college, I signed a deal with this really nice guy who is sort of like, you sign this little deal with me, I get you a record deal. And so I was writing all these songs to please what I thought this guy wanted to hear. I do a lot of that. If I'll picture what's Kaler going to think about this song as I'm working on it, or whatever the band lineup is at that time, or the kind of tour that's coming up, or anything. I like to sort of that can breed inspiration. But when it's a 60-year-old man and I'm writing songs to try and get him excited, I don't know. It didn't really work. His name's John Boylan.
Okay.
He's a producer in the late 70s, early 80s was sort of the peak of his heyday. He did More Than a Feeling, Devil Went Down to Georgia, a lot of that era stuff. Amazing guy. And incredibly helpful. Learned a whole lot during that time, but the songs just weren't. It wasn't there. And so we basically moved to Charleston, and Notice the Symbol was written largely as a rebellion against those songs, because it was just sort of, we were like, screw it, this isn't going to happen. It's just us, in this new town, just sort of. And just writing songs that made us happy, and so that was sort of when things really started happening for us. So fast forward, Notice Symbol gets re-released. We're now in the situation with J Records, Clive Davis. I'm trying to write songs for another old man, but there's all these external sort of filters that are just. I have a real difficult time shutting all that out usually. If there's expectation of this needs to. This record label needs, a certain kind of thing, and I still can't really control what comes out, so it still comes out as sounding like us, but there's just more obstacles that has to go through to get out, and anyway, so much of the Shiv and Mermaid songs, we had 40-something demos done for that second record. Most of those songs were written, and then they're basically, so now we want to put out the record. Fast forward past putting those records out and doing all that, and we're back to sort of just being us with with no real agenda except like we want to make another record. And there's no, I mean, you know, we still have like entities helping us, you know, with our career and stuff, and we're still tangentially involved in the music business. But there's no external thing saying we need this kind of song, or I'm picturing them wanting this kind of song. It's all whatever we want. And so we're kind of creatively restless by nature, so that just sort of allows a lot more experimentation and pushing ourselves into uncomfortable, creative situations. And
I was very comfortable though.
Well, okay, he's very comfortable.
Yeah.
But so the conditions were similar to No Disassemble, in that all of those songs were written with that sort of frame of mind, and all these songs were sort of written with not the same situation, but you know, the situations are cousins. They're like related, and I think those are conditions where we have done our best work.
Well, we met at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I think we both came from a similar background. You know, as far as where we grew up, you know, we were both kind of in towns where we had a lot of fun playing in bands, but we definitely knew that we needed to like go to a big place to meet other musicians and have a humbling experience, you know. And so I think that's kind of why we both chose Berklee, and spent a couple years there, and then just had to move on.
I actually went to Berklee because I didn't want none of the other choices on the multiple choice question of what am I doing with my life were as appealing. I didn't want to go to graduate school I got an English degree, and I didn't want to go to grad school for that. Didn't really want to get a job. Yeah. And it was like, oh, I could go there and major in songwriting for real.
Right.
So that was that. It was.
Yeah, the school just sets itself apart from all the other music schools. You know, like you can literally just do anything you want there. You know, it does. I mean, it's legit, obviously, but you know, the best part was by far like meeting musicians and becoming friends with them and networking. That's the best part. I think Charleston's really great for artists like us that are maybe a little intimidated by just the size of the city and trying to make a dent there.
Yeah.
I just think it.
And trying to pay rent there.
Yeah. I mean, just money alone. that was probably the big reason.
Yeah. Well, and as far as just not graduating school, it was sort of a matter of I don't know. Both of us, I think, kind of were turned off by the culture of academia as applied to music, to something that I think in its best form is sort of from the gut and with your eyes closed, and there's just a lot of overthinking it. And obviously, if you're pursuing classical music or music therapy, or you know, you're trying to be technically proficient, and you know, craft is the thing that you're really pursuing, then obviously it makes sense. But if you're trying to balance craft and inspiration, and craft will eat inspiration eventually, and it just, I think it got to be kind of claustrophobic, in that there was just, it was all craft, because you can't teach inspiration. So there's no classes, there was no like, aside from a few really cool professors, there's no Dead Poet Society, stand up on your chair and, oh, you blow my mind. And that was sort of what I pictured it would be like. But really it was a lot more sort of like all the things that facilitate that being fully realized. And at a certain point, for what we wanted to do, we kind of were like, had all those tools in place, and it's just like, well, now I'm just labeling things that I already kind of do automatically. And so, and it's not like a bachelor's degree in songwriting gets you a record deal or anything, so there's no real.
Yeah, everybody has their threshold there, you know. It's just like some people can you know, there's people that go there and double major. You know, I mean, some people drop out after a week. You know, you never know until you're there.